In recent days, millions of Americans have applied for a fourth stimulus check. However, the legislators have moved on to discuss infrastructure and various other issues. Due to this situation suffered by millions of inhabitants, different states have decided to provide cash for residents to alleviate their financial problems.
You were just back home for a week. Do your voters want this bill, this big, massive bill right now?
I think my voters in West Virginia, but I don't speak for the whole country, my voters a lot differently, but they're very much concerned. Inflation has hit them extremely hard. They have to drive. Their mileage for driving to work is quite onerous on them. And the cost, they see it every day. Every day they go up and fill up, it's $1.25 more a gallon. So they're in $3.29, $3.39. Gallon of milk is now around $4 in many places, and it's taking a toll. And I hear it when I go to the grocery store, or if I go to the gas station. They say, "Are you as mad as I am?" And I says, "Absolutely."
Because of this delegation, New Hampshire and America are moving again. Your life is going to change for the better, and that's literal. For example, the Pemmy Bridge here, I just walked across, opened in 1939. 82 years ago. This may not seem like a big bridge, but it saves lives and solves problems. Let me tell you why. Businesses depend on it, like the local propane company or the sand and gravel company or the logging trucks. Or the public services depend on it, school buses, wastewater trucks cross it every day. It's essential to Woodstock Fire Station, about a quarter of a mile away. Without this bridge, as I said earlier, it's a 10-mile detour just to get to the other side. And I haven't had a house burned down with my wife in it. She got out safely, God willing. But having a significant portion of it burned, I can tell you, 10 minutes makes a hell of a difference. It makes a big difference. Folks, every mile counts. Every minute counts in an emergency. And folks, this is a bridge that has been structurally deficient for years. I'm preaching to the choir, I know. But the fact is, it used to be able to carry 40-ton trucks. Now the bridge is down to 20-ton restrictions. In a couple of weeks, it's going to be closed to put steel plates down over the weekend and for sections of this deck. That steel plate is basically like putting a Band-Aid on a major wound. This is going to make it bumpy for drivers, difficult for snow plows, and it's still dangerous for bikers. And when that's done, the bridge may need even more weight restrictions. The state has already spent $250,000 in Band-Aid repairs on this bridge alone. And right now there are 215 bridges in your state, 215 bridges deemed structurally unsafe in New Hampshire alone. Many of them are less trafficked bridges. They're often overlooked when decisions are being made about where and how to invest and rebuild. But these bridges are essential in small towns, rural areas, farmers, and small businesses like in my state of Delaware. Not only about 700, you have about 700 miles of highway in New Hampshire that is listed in poor condition. Driving on these roads that need repair costs New Hampshire drivers an estimated extra $476 every year per person driving in gas and repairs and longer commute times. That's $476 in hidden tax on New Hampshire drivers as a result of deteriorating infrastructure. But thanks to the infrastructure law, we're going to make the most significant investment to modernize our roads and our bridges in 70 years. The law is going to speed up replacement of bridges by at least a year and allow New Hampshire to invest in other critical infrastructure needs. Thanks to the congressional delegation, this law also represents the most significant investment in passenger rail in 50 years in public transit ever.
Now, an entirely different matter. Last week, even more economic data continued to confirm that inflation is hammering working families all across America. In October, consumer prices saw their steepest spike in 3 decades, the worst inflation surge in more than 30 years. When I was back home last week, I heard constantly from Kentuckians who watched their gas prices and grocery prices literally soar. This is happening in every single state. Last month was the 5th straight month in which national consumer prices rose at least 5%. The Democrats' inflation crisis has gotten so bad that Washington Democrats have stopped trying to pretend that it's just transitory and are starting to admit that it's on them to fix it. The same Democrats who spent months denying that inflation was a lasting problem, the last people in America to wake up to this reality, are now convinced they're just the people to fix it. But their supposed solutions are more of the same absurd policies that helped dig this hole in the first place. After months of mostly ignoring the problem, President Biden finally responded to last week's inflation data by insisting that, quote, reversing this trend is a top priority for me. But surprise, the president's preferred solution just so happens to be the exact same reckless taxing and spending spree his administration has been pushing literally for months now. They cooked up this massive multi-trillion-dollar spending spree back when they were just saying inflation wasn't a major problem, and it was still time to spend like crazy. But now, miraculously, that exact same spending binge happens to be their prescription to fight inflation. So give me a break. This is just a sweeping socialist wish list in search of a justification. It's another megadose of the same radical recklessness that Republicans have warned against all along, that American families are already paying dearly for as we speak. But so far, Democrats seem intent on grabbing the hot stove yet again, and it's American families who stand to get burned.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, for inviting us to the White House. Thank you to Vice President Harris, my colleagues in attendance, all of you, and Senator Sinema, Portman, and Speaker Pelosi. Now, for years, Americans were promised that an infrastructure bill was coming. Today, we're telling the American people that an infrastructure bill is finally here. Thank you, President Biden. At the start of this year, we told American families that we'd meet our challenges, the challenges of our time, with boldness and with courage. Now they're getting one of the largest infrastructure bills ever. To paraphrase one of my favorite former vice presidents, it's a big effing deal. There isn't a community in America, not a city, not a town or rural hub, that doesn't have some glaring infrastructure problem requiring immediate attention. Busted roads make it harder for people to get to work. Dilapidated schools make it harder for kids to learn. Overtaxed seaports and railways and airports make it harder for goods to get to market, hurting businesses, raising prices on consumers, and hurting our economy. If America is to compete in this century, we can't do it with an infrastructure that's stuck in the last century. This infrastructure bill will help us meet the challenges of our time, strengthen our crucial supply chains, and lay the foundation for another generation of economic prosperity. This bill can be summed up by a four-letter word: J-O-B-S. Jobs, jobs, and more local jobs, more good-paying jobs, more union jobs. So, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership in achieving this long-sought goal on a bipartisan basis. The benefits go on and on. Thank you to all of my colleagues who pushed this infrastructure bill over the finish line, including our committee chairs and Speaker Pelosi, and everyone who reached across the aisle on this bipartisan achievement. Today's signing is a major and historic step forward, and we will keep working with you, Mr. President, to build on today's success by passing the rest of your Build Back Better agenda in the weeks ahead, so we can keep our promises to help families achieve the American dream. Thank you, everybody. This is a great day for America.